Okay, welcome everyone. Here we are for a catch up with Ash, which is a great YouTuber from England. So he was watching. He wasn't watching all World Championships because he was in a great trip, in a great vacation he did. So
Yeah.
I don't know if you want to talk about this, but we had an amazing World Championship in Doha, Qatar, 2025, and a lot of excitement, a lot of things happening. Too many things to discuss and talk about in this crazy table tennis world. So
Yes.
Ash, first words.
Well, it was good to hear from you. Yeah, I was on a trip in South Korea and Vietnam, and I spent. I think I watched probably at least 50% of the World Championships. A lot of the important matches on my mobile phone in hotel rooms, using a VPN to get around the geo blocking. Sorry, I had to do it. I couldn't find another way. I tried, I swear. But yeah, great World Championships.
Yeah, it must be very tough for you, who is a great enthusiast of table tennis, and not be able to watch all of those matches and everything else. And you were pretty close to Qatar, and but couldn't go to watch live. Okay, how does it feel?
Well, I was thinking of going there, and I wish I did, but sometimes family comes first. I was visiting family. Got to
Yeah,
balance the two. Table tennis, I wish it came first all the time, but sometimes there are things that are slightly more important.
yeah, I really understand that family is always more important. So, and I think you did the right thing. So we love table tennis. We are very passionate about it. I'm a professional and I work with table tennis for over 30 years. But anyway, family is always much more important. Uh, about this World Championship, what did you see? What can you tell us? The matches you watched. What was the most interesting thing you saw in this World Championship, Ash?
Well, I think in the men's side of the draw, we'll probably discuss the women's, but the men's side of the draw, it's a very interesting time. And I think there's probably 10, 15 players who must go into every major tournament now thinking, I could get a medal here, or maybe even win it. I know we'll come to it, but China did come out on top in the end, but only just. It wasn't. You think about previous World Championships, you could have two semi-finals that were all Chinese or three quarters Chinese. Well, this time only 2 out of 4, and you look at that quarterfinals, the spread of nations involved in those quarterfinals is something momentous and quite exciting for the men's game. The women's game, okay, the quarterfinals were 4 Chinese against 4 Japanese players. There's not quite that global interest there. But for me, that was the big thing of this World Championships.
Yeah, so what you mentioned is the dominance of the Chinese table tennis is diminishing in the men's side, but the women's side is still very dominant. That's it.
Absolutely. I think even on the women's side, it's there's kind of a 3-tier structure. You've got China, by far the best team. Then you've got Japan. They've got 5 or 6 women who are high quality players, and probably ranks 5 to 10 in the world in real terms. And then you've got the rest of the world, unfortunately. So there really is a kind of 3 tiers of quality of table tennis player in the women's game that seems to be developing. Whereas on the men's, it's got players coming from everywhere, like crazy places like Brazil.
Mm-hmm.
A Brazilian table tennis player. Never thought I would
Yep.
see the day.
So I'm from Brazil. That's why I have the kind of American, of a Brazilian flag in my background, and I change a little bit words because there's some breaking news about the table tennis in Brazil, and Brazil did pretty well. But you mentioned it pretty well. So we saw for the first time in history a Brazilian girl, Bruna Takahashi, got the quarterfinals. So she played amazingly. So the Brazilian table tennis is growing a lot, and we had Hugo Calderano playing the finals, which was incredible. So it's a historic for not only for Brazil, but for for the world of table tennis, so having an American player in the finals of World Championship is something. I don't have the whole data, but I don't remember seeing the last 40 years or 50 years a Brazilian or American in that ball. But we're gonna talk more about that later. Let's go back to the dominance of the Chinese. So what do you think is happening with the we talked a little bit before the Olympic Games in Paris 2024. So we discussed about this and the period that China is facing and everything else. What do you think about this period, this transition period that China is having?
It's let's be clear. China is always going to be the single strongest nation. I can't see that changing in my lifetime. But their complete dominance of major tournaments, I think, at least on the men's side, could start to slip, and it's in part due to a couple major retirements. Obviously, Fan Zhendong and Ma Long disappearing is going to have a huge impact on any nation, even the mighty China. So Lin Shidong, he's still very young. Wang Chuqin, he has now risen as the main figure, but he's a bit of a lone figure there. Liang Jinquin, a quality player, but not at that elite GOAT level that Ma Long and Fan Zhendong and maybe Wang Chuqin will be in the future. So there really is a kind of interesting moment where the rest of the world has a chance to catch up and really establish itself as a proper rival to China.
Yeah, and do you think this is something happening just because of those retirements, and it's something happening in China, or the rest of the world has some credit learning from them as well?
I think the rest of the world catching up is a big part of it. You've got new nations involved in table tennis that you didn't have involved in a serious way in table tennis. So obviously Hugo Calderano, I think Brazil, if we just look at the nations that are now competing at the top level, you've got the whole of Europe is more involved in table tennis right now than it has been for a little while. Yeah, I think really the rest of the world catching up is a big part, plus the high profile retirements. Do you think this is going to be a trend, or is this just like a momentary?
They're
still the best. I mean, let's be very clear. They're still the best.
Yeah, it's hard to say. So it's when you talk about China, which is a huge nation with over 1 billion population, so it's so hard to predict what such a great nation like that can do it. So they have what we lack most, which is the human resources. So we don't have the human resources to select enough players to become a world champion or to train enough, and this is the first aspect. I think this is my opinion. So having 1 billion of population, it's a huge advantage to select better and have more chance to get the best of the best in terms of talent, in terms of physical skills, mental skills, and everything else. You can select the best of, I don't know how many candidates they have, but I think it's over 1 million players just to try one spot in the national team. So when it comes to England, so how many players have a chance to be selected to be a national team? So actually we don't have that choice. We just have what we used to say in Brazil like 30 years ago when I started coaching, is you have to work what we have. You don't have chance to select. So whatever you have in your hands, you have to try your best to sculpt and extract the best from the player you have in your hands, because we don't have too many. So we have very little players. So whatever you have, you're gonna try your best. But China can take like 1,000 players and they can discard 999 and stick with only one because they have too many. We don't. We don't. How many Tom Jarvis we have? How many Liam Pitchford? How many Paul Drinkle we have? So in the last 20 years, how many great players or top players we have in England, or we have in Brazil, or we have in Romania, or we have in the United States. So having all of all of those players and being able to select is a privilege. Like, I'm gonna make an analogy with the soccer, which we are very familiar. So Brazil has millions and millions of soccer players. It's easy to select a great team or a great player. So it's pretty similar for China. So they have too many players. This is the first factor, and the most important one. It's easy to select a top player, a talent. The second factor is the culture. So I think it's the only nation who really has the table tennis as a primary sport and a major sport. So table tennis is a major sport in China. They invest a lot of money, and because they invest a lot of money, they have a lot of research. They have a lot of people trying to find solutions and studying and everything else. So, and the culture is very deep in their mindset. So that's the second most important factors. So, and then we comes with the money, infrastructure, and everything else. So everything very common. But those two factors, in my opinion, are the most important ones. So, yeah, we have to face the giant. China is a big giant on table tennis. I don't know, for a very long time, as you mentioned, they're gonna dominate. Yeah. So this is for the. In the women's is more evident, but in the men's they are in a transition, correct?
Yeah, absolutely. They've still got the top. I don't know the rankings. I haven't checked it today, but they've still got the number 1 and 2 in the world rankings. And I think it's just that it's hard to know whether this is just a transition period or whether this is going to be their level. They're only going to have maybe 2 or 3 in the top 10 in the world. And it's going to be, every tournament potentially a non-Chinese player could win, or whether they've probably got thousands of players waiting in the wings, probably 16, 17-year-olds right now who we don't know the name of, and they would appear out of nowhere and win a major tournament. It's hard to know whether they do definitely have that. I mean, I wouldn't bet against it.
Yeah. So talking about Doha 2025, these World Championships caught my attention in many aspects. But let's talk about some upsets and some surprises we had over there. So, who would be, in your opinion, in the women's side, the one or the biggest surprises for you? Who can you mention about it? Did you follow the women's as well?
Yeah, it was good to see Mima Ito back in contention, back in the medals. She really had, when she first sort of burst on the scene, she had a really great record against the Chinese players and was seen as a real genuine threat to the top Chinese players. But it didn't quite happen. She the last couple of years, she sort of faded out. Still a very good player, but didn't even get selected for Japan at the Paris Olympics. And now she's come back and a medal at the World Cup in Macau, and then followed it up with a medal in Doha. So it is great to see her back. I mean, the semi-final against, I think it was Yingsha she played. It was a bit of a one-sided contest, but players like that, it's incredible as well. She's been around for, feels like forever. She's still only 24 or 25. So there's a chance for her to really sort of build on this sort of comeback. I don't know what's changed for her, but it was really great to see her back.
Yeah. So besides Mima Ito, can you mention anyone else that you think you was a great surprise in the women's side?
Well, I did predict before the World Championships that Kim Kum-yong would win. I was very, very wrong. She lost to Miwa Harimoto.
Who?
Miwa Harimoto. She lost
Miwa Harimoto?
Yeah. She's developing again quite well. Still very, very young. They're still not able to get past the Chinese players again. Lost to Tong, I think it was, in the round of 8. Who had a good run in the women's? The quarterfinals were just China against Japan in the end. And Bruna Takahashi had a great tournament again from a Brazilian perspective, and she's consistently getting to the sort of round of 16. She did it at the World Cup as well. So they're having good tournaments, but they're not getting beyond the Japanese and Chinese players that are unfortunately the rest of the world.
Yeah, so I'm gonna complement what you said. So I'm gonna include like 2 names that I think is one. I think the one that was the biggest surprise for me was Leah Rakovac.
Okay, yeah.
If I'm not mistaken, the flag is pretty similar for me, so I don't know if it's from Serbia or something like that, or Slovakia. I don't know which country exactly it is. I would say I think it's Slovakia. It's the same country as Zoran Primorac. So she did very well. So she was a great surprise for me. She lost in the quarterfinals for Satsuki Odo, which is the second one that I was going to mention. So a very prominent player. I think there's a big chance of Satsuki Odo replace the top team in Japan. So I don't know how long Mima Ito is still going to play, because she's a kind of veteran already for considering Japan culture.
Yeah. I mean, in real world terms, she's still a very compared to me, and compared to you as well. She's still very, very young. I mean, the same Miyu Hirano, she same age as Mima Ito as well, and sort of again dipped off. So that Japanese team is very, very vibrant. There's so many players coming through there, but there's still that gap between them and China that they're just not quite breaking through at the moment. Yeah.
So I hope one of them, or Miwa Heimoto, which is very young as well, Satsuki Odo, which has an incredible and a lot of power on her game. She has a lot of skills for a lot of power, so it's not very common for a Japanese or an Asian. Okay, do the biomechanics and everything else. We don't want to discuss about that, but there's a big chance we're gonna have like one more top player in Japan. So she's already a top player, but now she's. So I would mention those 2, and of course Bruna Takahashi, which is growing a lot. So
I feel like she's sort of feeding off Hugo's success as well. I feel like obviously they're a power couple of Brazilian table tennis, but I feel like I don't know, there's a good energy between them. She's always at his matches. I expect he's at her matches, and I don't know, there's a good vibe there.
Yes.
And obviously within the coaching team, we've got Thiago Monteiro there as well. I did enjoy him at the World Cup. He's always there, straight face, like no expression, just calmness. I don't know, there's good vibes in that Brazilian team right now.
It is. I hope it continues for a long time. So we also had Korea with a great team. But most of the time we're seeing only Asian countries yet. So that's the women's side of the bracket. So the quarterfinals we had like a very, very great players. Mima Ito just defeated Wang, and it was a great to see that. But I wish she had a better performance against Sunisha, who for reasons that we don't know. It wasn't a great match. But anyway, women still a great dominance from China.
Yeah, very much so.
Yeah. We'll see what's going to happen. China is always we have so only good words to talk about their table tennis. No, in the men's side, is there anyone that you would like to highlight?
Well, Truls Morgaard, he's so entertaining to watch. Sometimes I wonder if he even cares about winning when he's playing. He's slightly different in this tournament. He seemed a bit more pumped up, but he plays in such a kind of like free way that sometimes it can be frustrating when he doesn't. When you're watching him, you're like, "Come on, let's just get the points. Let's no messing around." But I think that's what makes him so special. The way he moves as well is so different to other players. His backhand is just the mechanics of it. He doesn't move like a conventional, definitely not in the orthodox Chinese way. I don't know. He's just fantastic to watch, and he took a couple games off Wang Chuqin in that semi-final. I feel like he had a great tournament because apparently he was injured as well. So I think he limited his forehand, so he's playing mostly with backhand. Yeah, I love watching Truls Morgard, and yeah, I feel like he has got a big tournament in him to win, and yeah, again, another major medal for him as well.
Yeah. So anyone else you would like to highlight?
Let's have a think. Well, Tom Jarvis.
I know that.
Yeah, well, Tom Jarvis had an incredible tournament. He defeated Dang Chu, I think it was possibly in the round of 32, or no, probably the round of 64. And then his performance against Chirita, I think I'm pronouncing his name correctly, from Romania, 4-0. And perhaps it hasn't come out of nowhere, but his ranking before this tournament was in the hundreds. So to get to the round of 16 is he was the only unseeded player in that last 16, or at least player outside the top 40. Such an impressive run. And it does make you wonder where he can go from there. He was competing with top players. He even against Liang Jinquin, he took a couple games off him. Yeah, very, very impressive, and I was surprised by it. I thought, sorry to go back to the women, but I thought Anna Hersey and the women might have a good tournament. That's the British player. I was thinking maybe this is their tournament. So I wasn't expecting Tom Jarvis to do quite so well, and yeah, great to see.
That was a great run. I agree with you. So I think Tom Jarvis caught me off guard. I wasn't expecting him having such a great performance, and I even texted his private coach, Jorg Bitzgeil, which is a friend. We work together here in the United States. So, but I wasn't expecting that great performance. It caught me off guard. How good is he playing? He's very incredible and a pretty young kid. If I'm not mistaken, he's 22 yet.
Yeah, I think so.
Wrong?
No, I think you're correct. I'll have to double check that, check the Wikipedia, but yeah.
So I would keep my eyes on him. So, and I'm sure he's going to have a great and long career on table tennis. Hopefully, for the good of table tennis, we need that. You mentioned Truls Morgard, so, and I would like to, every time I talk about him, so I like to mention the fact this school in Sweden provides more freedom for the player. So is their culture to teach and to coach the players to have a kind of freestyle and enjoy and use their skills in their favor. And I think this is exactly what we see in Truls Morgard. He's just having fun, enjoying, using the skills he has. Of course, a little bit technique here and there is more. Sometimes he's more focused on techniques. I believe that, but I think it's the freestyle Sweden usually coach their players makes that style. So, and he even mentioned that. He mentioned the World Championship in Houston when he became the runner-up. So he got a silver medal over there. He even mentioned he was just having fun. He was not expecting to get that far. So, and then the Olympic Games again. So, and then he mentioned one of his statement is this time he's taking a little bit more serious because he's feeling much more pressure over him right now.
Yeah, well, you can tell because when he beat, I can't remember the Korean player's name, but his celebration afterwards, he was really, what was he shouting? I am him.
Jang Woo-jin.
Jang Woo-jin, yeah. And he was shouting, I am him, after he'd won. And normally after the game, he's normally kind of like cheerful, jolly. But this was a kind of like, I don't know, it was a cry of, I think I've got a chance of winning here. And that's new for him. I don't know whether it's good or not, but I like to see it. And yeah, maybe every tournament now he believes he is a contender.
Yeah, he
Because
can
he is.
defeat anyone in the world, even the Chinese team. In a good day, they can
Yeah.
defeat anyone. So it's always a good surprise for us. Except if he's playing against a British and a Brazilian, it's gonna be a
Yeah.
great surprise. Even being entertaining, we don't like to see our players losing. But anyway, he was great. I don't think his injury affect him much by the end of the tournament against Wang Chuqin. It wasn't.
Perhaps not,
I don't
yeah.
know what they did to get him better. I think it was his shoulder, if I'm not mistaken. But truth, it's always going to be a great contender. So he can defeat
and it's
anyone.
just pure joy to watch him. Just it's everything about him. It's like he's got the cyber shaped blade. His t-shirts are like the sleeves are like little bit longer, and he's just I don't know. There's something kind of magical about watching him play.
Yep, I think we need that fun, that joy to make the table tennis a little more popular. So I think I love him because he makes the table tennis more popular. So wherever he goes, the show he presents, the spectacle is very important for the table tennis. But let's be a little bit more serious. So besides Truls Moregard, and you mentioned Tom Jarvis, of course, a great performance. Anyone else would like to highlight on the men's sides? I have one name, but I'm gonna expect for you.
Well, I think it would be unfair not to mention Wang Chuqin, really, talking about him properly, because he must have had so much pressure on him. He is the chosen one. He was picked out. He's been picked out by the Chinese national team as the successor to Fan Jindong and Ma Long. Picked over Ma Long at the Olympics as well. And it didn't go well for him. And it didn't go well for him at the World Cup either. So, and with his teammates who are either younger or perhaps not as talented as he is the main man for China. So he has to feel a lot of pressure. There's so much expectation on him, and the Chinese public as well. They expect nothing less than victory.
Do you really think it's much pressure? It's only 1.3 billion people pressuring him.
Well, if you put it like that, then
it's a lot. It's a lot of people. So
yeah. So
right.
we have to give, and sometimes it's easy as a non-Chinese viewer who's. As much as we respect China, we want China to lose. Not because we dislike them, but just because we feel a kind of China versus the world dynamic in table tennis. So sometimes it's easy to forget, and easy to forget to praise players like Wang Chuqin who just do the business. And so I just wanted to. I feel like I was looking at all of these other players who did well for themselves, but. Yeah, I want to make sure I do give the due credit to Wang Chuqin.
Yeah, you're right. He has all credits, and we like to support the underdog, except if when playing against our top players.
Of course,
we know that. So, but anyway, so he deserves all credit. I think he came back from a bad situation last year, work to the Olympic Games, and almost happened the same with Doha again with his battle. Same kind of issue with his pad. There's something there that he must have to go through. It's just a karma. Something's happening over there. So I don't know. It's just the mystery of the things in the world that are happening sometimes. But anyway, he deserved the credit for sure. But I wanna really highlight one more player only before going to the finals and talking about that, which is Simon Gauzy. Another player who is so fun to watch, and I love to watch him play as well. So he did a great job. So he also defeated a top player. So it was great to watch him playing. So and always nice.
That Lin Gao Yuan match.
Yeah,
was
no matter who is playing. So he could even, I don't know. It's hard to judge, but the game against Wang Chuqin was something stunning as well. So Simon Gauzy was the third name that I would like to highlight in this tournament.
Yes, absolutely. There was of course the t-shirt tactic change of t-shirt tactic that China likes to employ when they're losing against Simon Gozi. I don't know how much that would have influenced the overall match, but yeah, definitely changed the momentum in that match against Wang Chuqin.
Yeah, there's too many things we could talk, too many players to highlight. As you can, Suzuki Togami, and I was a little bit disappointed on us not watching Darko Yorgi. So there's something is different in his style of play. So I love those players, but
yeah.
Anyway, I think the biggest highlight was the ones we mentioned. So did you watch the semifinals?
I watched the Hugo Calderano against Liang Jinquin semi-final, which drama. That match had absolutely everything. Big rallies, lots of two-handed backhands from Hugo. Momentum shifts. Obviously, Hugo was 3-0 up, and then he had a feeling that Liang Jinquin is just going to win now. And then that final game was just kind of bizarre. Liang Jinquin was 3-0 up, and then Hugo won 10 points in a row, and then basically forgot how to play. And yeah, nerve-wracking. Did you watch it as well?
Yeah, honestly, I watched the first 4 games, and the last 3 games I was watching with certain delay. I was watching my live stream on YouTube, so I purposely delayed like 2 minutes to be able to control my emotions. So it was so tough to watch live and see what's happening. So from 3-1, I see, and we saw many times the Hugo leading the score, and out of a sudden something happened and everything changed for this time. You go, oh my God, it's going to happen again. Yeah, because we already have the blood in the skin, so Brazilians are very emotional. So it was.
You're making me nervous just thinking about that game. I'm still like kind of a little bit shaken by when it was 10-3. It was 10-4, 10-5, 10-6. You're like, oh my God.
Yeah.
And my wife couldn't watch. She had to like leave, and I could barely watch. It was painful.
So that happened to me, and I couldn't control my emotions. I was watching with certain delay because I was, anyway, it was tough. So, and especially after the Olympic Games and the first game against Truls Moregard, when it was the watershed for him losing the game to losing the confidence playing Moregard, and I thought, okay, we're not gonna see the Brazilian in the finals, but he came back. It happens. Okay, the way that was very tough to watch, but it was. By the end, everything went well. So for us, at least. The finals.
Still painful.
Yeah, it was. It was. I think it is. Everyone is saying it was the best match in the whole tournament.
Oh yeah. At least, I probably watched 15 matches, 20 matches across that World Championships, and and some of the other matches I saw were incredible as well. But that one, the tension, the kind of emotion of it, was something else.
Before talking to the finals, I would like to highlight a little bit his run. So I don't know if you watched all of his matches. So it was a tough beginning. So I think the first match was a little bit, as any tournament, the first match is always tense. You have to find your best. So we figured out how to play, what is your style of play. So it's another conversation, so a technical conversation for us. But it was a tough beginning for him, and I saw a few of his matches. So the first one is always nervous, but in my understanding, in my point of view, the match that was really the watershed for him, Kevin, that's such a great run, was against Aruna. And I even posted a reels on my Instagram, which is I just mentioned it was flawless victory he did. It was total dominance over Aruna. I wasn't expecting that. I was expecting a little bit more fight from Aruna, but Aruna couldn't play. It was so dominant. That was the watershed, in my understanding, all Calderano's run to reach the finals. That was the best one. Anyway, talking about the finals. What did you see? What can you tell us about, from your point of view, about the finals?
Well, I saw a highly focused Wang Chuqin. There's always been the sort of question marks around the temperament of Wang Chuqin. He's had some famous outbursts. We could think about the Olympics and the kind of, I don't want to use the word tantrum they had, but it was a little, it did show someone who's a little bit emotionally immature. But there was just a kind of focus in that final that Wang Chuqin had that it looked like a man who he wasn't going to be defeated no matter what the situation, no matter what happened in that final. He would find a way to win. And I think Hugo said afterwards that he had had some difficulty with cramps and stuff like that, so potentially that helped as well. It might have been a bit of a tired Calderano. So maybe that played into it as well, but I think even if Hugo was fully fit, fully rested, I don't know, some days the best players they just know they're going to win and they make it happen.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's hard to say, it's hard to judge. So what we heard and what we saw in the news about I'm never gonna use the word excuses. I don't think in this level of play they find excuses. So the excuses is a kind of newbie thing. Mm-hmm. So this is a very, very, I'll say, rational statement that Hugo said. So he was exhausted from the game the day before, and he had like 12 hours to recover. So I don't know physically how it's hard to judge. And I don't think there is any kind of physical preparation that can prepare you for that physical and mental battle. And that was huge. I think the amount of energy we spend, especially mentally, is tough. Physically, is very hard to recover. So I don't know what we can do in the future. Table tennis is getting very physical, but it was a great reason he mentioned. So I wouldn't say that he could win. He would win the match if he was 100% recover. We cannot say that. We cannot state that. But could be a better match at least. I didn't see Calderano really performing that match. Not like he did against Liang Jin-kun, or even the World Cup 1 month before, or even against Aruna. So his performance, it wasn't there. So, could be a better match. Who was going to win? I don't know. Wang Chuqin has all the credit. Too much talent, too much work he put on it. We cannot say Calderano would win, but could be a better match for sure.
I mean, I think one thing about Hugo's play that for me sort of separates him out from the other top players is his physicality and his kind of movement. He's always in the right place. He's always as a physical specimen, just as a pure athlete, he's got to be the top for that. And if that's something that's lacking from it, obviously he's got great shots as well and great touch and everything, all of the other stuff that you need to be a top player. But if you are lacking that key element of your game, that's that physical athletic nature that he has, then that's always going to be tough for him, especially against someone who is as good as Wang Chuqin.
Yeah, but anyway, it was an amazing tournament. I think we have to celebrate a lot. So I saw a big change in table tennis in more from the 64 round of 64 on. We saw too many even matches, so it was very, very balanced the level of play, which makes me happy because we can see the whole world is learning to play a better table tennis, with the Chinese or even with the Europeans. So we are growing in terms of I'll say skills and capability to face the Chinese and everyone else. So it was very balanced World Championship, not like the we had in the past, which was a total dominance from the Fanjandong and Malong. So we saw a little bit more balance on table tennis, which makes us happy. And I think we're on the right track. I think we have a great chance. So World Championship, Doha, Qatar, it was a great one and one of the best that I ever watched.
Yeah, I was actually a little bit dubious before the tournament about whether it would be a good World Championships, because it would be in Doha. There's no kind of native crowd there. And often what makes great tournaments is having a crowd there that kind of amps up the emotions. And but really the players were the star of this tournament. And the crowds did come in the end. I mean, it seems like it mostly, it's hard to tell because I wasn't there, but it felt like it was mostly Chinese crowds. So credit to the Chinese table tennis public who turn up in numbers no matter where the table tennis is in the world. So that was good to see. I was concerned there would be a final without anyone in the stadium to watch it. So I was quite relieved that it looked like it was full.
Yeah, I would say from the quarterfinals on, it was better. Yeah. But unfortunately, the rest of the days was pretty empty.
Yeah.
So I mentioned this in one of the meetings and conversations I have with the Brazilian coaches and some friends. We had a meeting before. That was and I even posted that on my social media. It was pretty empty all the time except from the quarterfinals on. So that's not good for the table tennis.
No.
Besides, Qatar did a great job with the table tennis World Championships. I think that is something that the International Table Tennis Federation must consider in terms of growing of table tennis. I think they should consider a better environment, a more popular country where the table tennis is more popular, like in Europe or even in South America. Or even Asia for sure is 100%.
Yeah, somewhere where you're going to get local people interested. You know, so many sporting tournaments, they invite local schools, they invite local clubs to come along, and that's the kind of thing that's going to build the sport.
Yes.
So having it in Qatar, whilst I was pleased that there were crowds there in the end, to watch the actual spectacle. From a growth of table tennis perspective, you know, whether it's you have it in, whether you have it in South Africa or the United States, from that perspective, inspiring a local population to be interested in table tennis, that is one downside to having tournaments in places like Qatar.
Yeah, so you're right. So we need the local people, the local population supporting. Not only supporting, but with the legacy from the International Table Tennis Federation, that the World Championship must echoing for the rest of the years, for the long time, and in a place where you don't have the good crowd, local crowd. This is not good for our sport. We need more that. And that's what I think the International Table Tennis Federation must consider that. Besides the politics and everything else is involved, we need to have tournaments, big and major tournaments in places where we have a good crowd because we gotta show a good. I would say it's hard to find the best word, but I think we gotta show to the world that we are ready to build a solid table tennis in our community. Anyway, shifting from World Championship, so I think it was a great one. I would say the whole World Championships that I'm really following close, this was, I would say, the top 3 World Championships in my understanding. I still think Durban was the best in terms of quality of videos and transmission, and was better than Qatar. But in terms of quality of players and organization, I think Doha is in top 3. So, except for the future, we have 2 major tournaments coming in 2 different, I would say, not very traditional countries on table tennis. Things are changing, but we have the next World Championship in
London.
which is
Yes.
your country. How are you feeling about that?
Well, it's going to be 100 years as well since the first World Championships, which the first World Championships, they kind of even weren't really a World Championships. They were just a tournament with just a few countries from Europe, and there happened to be a few Indian students living in London who wanted to compete. So then they rebranded it a World Championships. But yeah, it's going to come back to where it all began, back to London. So yeah, I'm excited for it. I'm definitely going to be there, and I'm going to buy as many tickets as I can, see as much as I can. So yeah, that's very, very exciting. 100 years of world's table tennis, international table tennis, and the ITTF.
How far is London from you?
It's probably about a 5-hour drive.
5-hour drive. Okay. What are you expecting in terms of legacy for the England table tennis?
That's a good question. We have had World Championships in recent years, and obviously we had the Olympics in 2012, and it's going to be in the same arena, the Copper Box in London, where they had the Olympics. So from that perspective, like new venues and things like that, I don't necessarily think that's going to change anything. But I know some people are negative about the state of table tennis in England at the moment, and in Britain in general. As in, we don't have a huge number of professional table tennis players playing on the world scene. There's, you've named all of them basically so far in this chat. But I'm generally quite positive about table tennis in Britain. I think there is a core of people who are really enthusiastic about table tennis, and even just in my local area, the number of people playing, the number of juniors coming through at the local clubs. Okay, maybe they're not elite, they're not going to be challenging the Chinese anytime soon, but having a World Championships in England can only be just encourage that further and build on that. And all you need is just a handful of really, really talented players. Unfortunately, at the moment in England, generally they have to go and live abroad. If they want to become a professional player, they have to go to Germany, Sweden, to actually forge a career and become a true professional player. But the more numbers there are who are interested in table tennis, it can only be a good thing.
Yeah, I think, in my opinion, I think the most important thing for the England table tennis and Britain table tennis is taking the spark and set a great fire. That's the most important thing. They use the momentum to capitalize and create a good structure again for the table tennis. So we need England, as any country who hosts the table tennis, must create a good structure to capitalize the legacy of the great event like that, and continuing promoting, continue creating actions to grow, to make it grow the number of players, grading in number of not only the number of players, but also the quality, the coaches, the education and everything else. We have to use the momentum to make the table tennis grow. I think this is the most important thing that the Britain table tennis should do, is start recruiting more coaches, start promoting more table tennis to the schools, and creating some actions, an action plan. For sure they have, I hope they have, and I believe they have great capability for that. And I think this is the most important thing for any country who hosts a great and a major tournament like that.
Yeah, I think Table Tennis England, who are the governing body, I know some people criticise them, but from a local club perspective, I'm involved in the running of a local club. They are very, very helpful, and they're always on hand to give advice, to support the club. So, and we're just a really rural club in a small city in the far southwest of England. So, we're pretty obscure when it comes to English table tennis. We're not in the core cities, and yet we can contact Table Tennis England easily and work with them when we have questions, whatever it may be, on player registrations or on hiring coaches, safeguarding, things like that.
I think what you mentioned right now. What you mentioned right now, I think, is the key point in my understanding. So we are having, in my understanding, a big problem with coaching, and I think unfortunately, I am a coach, so I've been coaching for over 30 years, and I can see a lack of respect for coaches, and I don't see the coaches are. Most of the coaches who spend the whole life like teaching and raising players and putting players in a world-class level. But most of the coaches not even having a retirement, so they are in big trouble financially because they're not very well paid, they're not respected, they're not having the support they should have, and this is a big problem in the whole world. It's not only, I cannot say anything about China and the rest of the world and the Asia countries, but everywhere else that I go and I talk about the same situation. I have so many great friends who are coaches as well, but they barely can pay their bills. So that's tough. We need more respect for the coaches, because overall we are the multipliers. So I think this is the biggest problem. We need more education, but also we need more respect. So the players are technically making a lot money. So I cannot say about the institutions and the federations and anyone else. I cannot say anything. But in terms of coaching, who are the multipliers, who are the ones who are in the field, taking the talent kid from the 5, 6, 7 years old and raising to the 15, 16 in a competition level, they are working so hard, sometimes for free, and they barely can pay their bills. And
in our local area, all of the coaches will either be voluntary or get very, very little money. They just do it out of the love of the sport, and I'm constantly impressed. Just in our local area, there's a handful of sort of 5 or 6 people they put in so many hours to develop youngsters, to take them to tournaments, to coach them, and they just do it purely for the love of the sport. They don't get paid anything. So it's always going to be hard without the full-time coaches who get paid to be coaches, for players to get to that next level. They'll get to a level where they're a competent local league table tennis player, but to get to that elite level, they need to be in contact with full-time professional coaches.
This is for the sake of the table tennis, we need more professionalism and better treatment for the coaches. And it's important to have a community. It's important to have a volunteer job, but I would say no more than 10% of the time if the coach can donate his time. So I'm against that kind of thing. So donate too much to your time, we're gonna put you in a bad financial situations, and you cannot donate your time too much. You can donate 10% of your time. I agree, we do that, but too many coaches donating a lot of time and not getting respect. So that's what happened. Unfortunately, it's true. The human being doesn't value what is for free. So unfortunately, so we have to change. It's a key point for England and the Britain table tennis to respect and bring more coaches, educate the coaches, but also provide the support and the financial support for them to continue multiplying the number of players and putting the hours over there and doing the best for the sport, for sure. But it's gonna be awesome, and I am planning to be in London.
Nice.
For sure. So this is my plan A. Is next year I'm gonna be in the World Championships in London, for sure. If this is a dream, going back to Europe. So I've been a few World Championships in Europe. I like more when I was in Europe. The number of the crowd is a warmer environment. So I love going to Europe. It's going to be my first time in England.
Excellent. Well, I'll show you around. Oh,
Okay, I'm counting
I'll
on
show you
you.
the sites.
I'm counting on you. So anyway, it's a watershed. I hope we have more tournaments in Europe for sure. But the second great news is a kind of breaking news. Just a few hours ago, we had the election for the next few World Championships. So, and 2029, and that's why I have that kind of similar Brazilian flag behind me. So
Right.
2029, you're gonna be in Brazil. Rio de Janeiro was elected for the 2029 World Championship. So they're gonna be very, very good.
That's a perfect choice. It's a perfect time. It's
Yep.
the right time.
Well, I wish it was 2027, but unfortunately they changed. So we're gonna be in a different country. So Brazil just did a step back, and it was in a bid. Brazil was going to dispute, but they decided at the last minute to support a different country. So, but 2029, I hope to see you in Brazil.
Yeah, sounds like a good idea.
Yeah, Brazil is doing
Yeah.
a great job on table tennis, so thanks to the Brazilian Confederation, so Alaor, which is the president of the Brazilian Federation, he used to be, now is a vice president of the ITTF. So he did a great job. I would say it was a 35 years or 40 years working for the table tennis, and finally he can put the table tennis in the top of the world. I give him a lot of credit because I've been following. I was part of the planning. So like 20 years ago,
Yeah.
I was 25 years ago, I was recruited by the Brazilian Confederation to become a coach. I was just a player. I was more a professional chess player than table tennis.
Yeah.
And then they recruit me to become. They teach me. They provide me the whole education. I went to the college to learn to become a coach. But that was the motivation and the support that I have from the federation to be included in a project, or 20 years project, to make the table tennis more popular in Brazil, and they succeed. Now we have Hugo Calderano, which is a big example of it, which is part of the project the Brazilian Confederation did. So I'm very happy to have the World Championship over there, and they did everything they could to reach this level of play, so I'm pretty happy. So 2029, you're gonna be in Brazil, and next year I'm gonna be in London for sure, watching the World Championship.
Yes.
And hopefully, I hope I can volunteer, because I would like to work in the international table tennis, along the International Table Tennis Federation.
Yeah, exciting times ahead.
Yeah. So, what can we say more about the future for the table tennis?
It's exciting. The one good thing is table tennis is a brilliant sport. So it doesn't need to do too much. It just needs to be well organized. It needs to have a whole globe that has access to elite table tennis. As in, if you're a talented player from Africa or South America, you have the opportunity to compete at the elite level, as in there will be the development programs to get you there. But the sport itself is fantastic. I mean, if you just think about that World Championship that's gone, what made it so great? The table tennis was incredible. It was a great product to watch. Yeah, could it have been filmed better and shown live streams being higher quality? Yeah, definitely. But I'm pretty confident that table tennis is going to grow globally, and we're going to have many more great tournaments with unexpected champions and unexpected players getting to late stages.
Yeah, so I agree with you, and I hope we continue on this great growing we are having on table tennis. If I'm not mistaken, table tennis is the sport which has more federations involved. So
yeah, and table tennis has heritage.
Yeah?
Table tennis has heritage. It has history. It's going to be 100 years of the ITTF next year.
Yeah,
it shows it's got quite a good staying power.
Yeah, I don't know how many countries we have in the world. It's over 200 for sure. And if I'm not mistaken, the Table Tennis Federation, the table tennis has the most countries participating in the world scenario. So it's more than any other sport.
Yeah,
So
Yeah.
it's huge, and I hope it can continue growing not only in numbers but also in quality as well. Well, we are having right now as well the election for the new ITTF president.
Yeah.
Another breaking news is we have a lot of controversy over there. There's some things going on, so I don't know if we already have a president yet. So there's a lot of controversy over there. I don't want to get into the politics, Ash. I'm sorry.
Next time.
But it's going to be, there's something happening right now that might be bad for our table tennis. I hope not. I hope they overcome this issue and they have a great election. But there's something going on right now which is not very good for our table tennis. And in the next few days or next few hours, you're gonna see some breaking news. But I'm afraid we are gonna have a stage where the table tennis is gonna be in a limbo for a while. Hopefully not. And also we're talking about politics, but I don't want to get into the controversy, who is right, who is wrong.
Let's see how it plays out, and next time we'll do a video. We'll discuss whatever the developments are.
Yeah, for sure.
We'll see what happens.
Let's keep the politics for another time. Let's just celebrate the momentum we are having for the table tennis in the whole world, and let's praise for the England and having the next World Championship. I'm gonna work as best as I can to be there. And I'm gonna meet you in person, or even before that, maybe earlier. I'm gonna to Europe, and let's continue our job promoting the table tennis on YouTube. And I hope everyone who is watching is subscribing on your channel and my channel as well, because we are here as volunteers, just trying to make the table tennis a better sport. People think we are making money, but we aren't.
Well, I'm definitely not making any money, but it's fun. I love table tennis, which is pretty obvious.
Okay, I am in a big journey to make the table tennis popular using also the table tennis robot. You know, I'm promoting the phone a lot. I really believe it's a good way to promote, and it's a very cheap robot that I'm promoting. And I think it's a good way to get some good practice and consistent practice. And I'm a big fan of it. And I'm having some students around the world, thankfully. So that's what is providing my income, is my work as a coach, not my YouTube. YouTube doesn't provide me any income. But I'm really promoting the robot, and I hope to be in London or in Europe soon, promoting even more. And I have some students from Europe that I hope I can visit them in person as well.
Excellent.
So, let's continue the work. Let's continue our job promoting table tennis. And thank you for your time.
Always
Anytime
a pleasure.
you want to do something else, so I'm always here. So we are always very passionate about the table tennis.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
Good to hear from you again.
Okay. Thank you, Ash.
Thank you.
Talk to you next time.
Until next time.
Bye.